Hello and good morning. My name is Mayank Pathak and I'm a student of International Institute of Information Technology. And this is a video for machine learning oral examination. And the topic is artificial neurons and its working and algorithm. So I will be going through the presentation and later on the code implementation. So I'll share my screen and we'll get started. Okay, I'll just check if my screen is visible to you. Okay, it's visible. So my name is Mike Pathak and my roll number is P1509530334. And today we'll be looking at what are neurons, how is it similar to artificial neurons, what is perceptron and its working, and adaptive linear neurons, gradient descent function, and also cost minimizing cost function with gradient function. So this is a visual representation of a neuron. So a neuron is what is basically a cell in our brain, and it consists of many components like dendrite, cell, nucleus, and axons, and how basically input signals, electrical signals, are given to dendrites and all those computations are done, and then later on the cell nucleus and the axons, they compute these functions and they fire whether the action needs to be taken or not. So that is how our brain functions, and this is just a brief representation. And now, as I said, that all these electrical signals are nothing but how our brain process these signals, and a nerve cell is just a if we realize it, it's just a simple logical gate with signals coming as an input and how it is accumulated, and then after certain computing and applying threshold, the output is passed on to the next cell. So this is a representation of artificial neurons that if you see, there are certain weights W0, W1, W2, and how these are passed with the input. The weights are it's a function, so the inputs and the weights, they are treated together, and how the activation function gives a threshold whether whether it should be fired or not, and that's how we get the output. So Warren McCulloch and Walter Pitts published the first concept of simplified brain cell, and they are called as McCulloch-Pitts, that is MCP neuron. So MCP is also known as perceptron. It is just a realization of how neurons works in the brain. And Rosenblatt proposed an algorithm that how to automatically learn the optimal weights, and these coefficients are then multiplied with the input features in order to make the decision. So perceptrons receive the sample input, let's assume it's x, and combines with the weight. Now these weights are randomized, so they compute the net input. Now that net input is passed to a function where it is the difference is taken between the predicted value and the value that we have computed, and according to that value, the you can say the threshold, this makes sure that whether it's a positive or a negative value. So here it's a unit step function, so here binary output will be +1 or -1, and this is called the learning phase. And the output uh, which is given, it's also calculated error, and that error is again updated into the weight, so that in the next iteration the weights are updated and we get a closer value to the predicted value. So the weight vector has this formula that W is weight. So W J, J is just a function subscript. So Wj plus delta W. So this is just a simple rule of updating the weight vector. Now that delta W, which is the change in the weight, can be written as uh, eta, uh, the true class label that we have got, and the predicted class label for the input x. So if we multiply the learning rate and the difference with for that particular input x, we get the change in the weight. Okay, so this was just a simple computation and working of the perceptron. Later on, a new additional and improved uh, perceptron was derived, and it was the difference between them majorly was that in adaptive linear neurons, which put together becomes Adaline, it is nothing but you can define cost functions in it. If you look at the previous version, you can just give threshold and you can just give activation function. But here we can also just try to give cost function so that we can minimize the weights, right? So that will basically be essential when we are going to classify with machine learning models, the big machine learning models, and this can like be implemented on those. So that's the one of the difference, and the other difference is that the perceptron weights uh, are updated on every iteration, and here the linear activation function is not a unit step. It's similar to unit step, and we will look at that. So this is a representation of Adaline. As you can see, the activation function is there, and instead of unit step function, there is a similar function called quantizer. So what does it do? It is very simple. It is linear, and it is nothing but multiplication of the transpose of the weights and the inputs, rather than as we saw in the previous perceptron model. So yeah, W is the weight and X is input. So gradient descent. So what is gradient descent? So gradient descent is an optimization algorithm which reduces the cost function. So gradient descent is a convex curve. So a point is randomly initialized on the curve, and to get to the local minima of the curve, the derivatives of the parameters are taken. So one of the major advantages is that this allows us to take derivatives rather than linear operations. So derivatives gives the efficient value, and it makes sure it is close to the local minima. As you can see, we have initialized a weight on the curve, and the global cost minima is just below the curve, and that sweep is called gradient. That's why it's called gradient descent. So the weights, the weights of the cost function. Suppose the cost function here is j of w, that is weights, and the weights are updated, as the usual perceptron learning rule. That is w, that is weights plus change in the weights, right? But here the change in weights is the negative negative learning rate of the cost function. And exactly how that cost function is changed, how that is minimized, that is minimized by taking basic derivative, partial derivative. So to compute this gradient, we take the partial derivative of the difference between the value true class value and the predicted value multiplied by its feature, and then that change is then again updated in the perceptron learning rule. So yeah, this was the presentation, so thank you for watching. Now we will go and watch the implementation. Yeah. So I'll just share my screen and we'll get to the implementation of the code. Okay. Okay. Just checking if okay, it's visible. Okay. So here we have created a class of perceptron. It has basic parameters, that is eta. It's a float value because it's a learning rate, and it should be between zero point 0.0 to 1, and n iters is just iterations that we have to pass. These are called epochs over the training set. So n iters is nothing but epochs. So w, yes, w is our 1D array, which is obviously the weights, and the error is we have instantiated a list so that we can update it, append the values, right? So so we have defined a function, right? And it is self and eta. We have defined it using that, and obviously one n iterators, right? So we have given value 10. We have passed the value 10, and we have made sure that the objects are created. If that is for the initializing method, and if we look at the fitting method, so it's itself and one object, and x, capital X, that is the input, and y, that is a target value. So x is nothing but an array which is of which has sample and features, and if you look at y, y is nothing but target value, and that returns, and this function returns an class object that we have created. So yes, that's the function. And if you look down, we have initialized one for loop, which will go over the training, that is n iters, right? And the error has been set to 0 so that it is initialized to null. Sorry, and and we have again made a for loop which is between the sample and the y value. So we have like for that particular iteration we have taken one input and output, and we have used the zip function to make it into a tuple, and we have basically multiplied here. If we see, this is the basic learning perceptron rule, right? The value of learning rate and the target value which we have got minus the predicted value, and we have updated the weights, right? The we have initialized update as a variable, and we have multiplied it with the sample, and we have given it to the self variable. Also, the weight is also given to yeah, the self, and errors are also updated, and if they are 0, then it shows that it flags, right, that okay, there is something wrong in it. So uh, so we have made that self error, and we have appended the list to that, and we have returned the self, that is an object. And the we have defined the input, which is nothing but, actually this is unit step function, right? Since those two are vectors, x, that is our input sample, and the self value that we have got. So it is added with the self value, and a threshold is given, right? So those two are vectors. So we have used np dot operator, so that we can multiply it. The last is the predict function, which is returning nothing but the uh, self value of the input, and we have just given a condition that for, like, if it's greater than 0, so the threshold will be 1, that will convert it to 1. And the if it's not, if it's like not 1, it's not 0, above 0, so it will give -1. Okay, so this is basically just a class object way of making perceptron, basic perceptron. And now we'll just look at how to train a perceptron. So just a second, I'll stop sharing this code. So I'll just present it. Sorry about that, just give me a second. Okay, I'll just check if this is visible. Okay, it's visible. Okay, so yeah, so the perceptron can be trained, right? So we have just uh, made a simple training example. So here we have imported all the required libraries, that is NumPy, sklearn. That we have imported some data sets. From those data set, we are using Iris dataset, and also we have imported perceptron model, right? Because we are training on that, and we have also imported accuracy for all for the prediction. And yeah, so iris dataset is we have loaded the iris dataset, and we have categorized the x as the data and y as the target value. So we have split it in zero point 0.3, that is 70/30 to the that's the ratio of how we have split it into training and testing set. And the random state is how it's the random state is just how much randomness you need to add while training, right? So we have just given the zero value. So here we have just uh, like made sure that X train, Y S train, and Y train and Y test, we have splitted these into the respective uh, proportions. And we have used one inbuilt function called standard scaling. It's how uh, it fits all the data into uniformity. So we used sc.fit on xtrain to just make sure that it's all uniform. And used we have then passed on that transform into xtrain and xtest here, right? So now there are some non-numeric value that we need to like check, and we have just printed unique values that we should be aware of. And we have just used a simple function called np.unique, and we have got that there is three unique value, that is 1 to 0 and 2, right? So we have just spliced that data set, and we have just taken two training values. And for the test, we have initialized epochs of 40, and the learning rate, that is eta, it's 0 0.1. So we have imported that perceptron model, and we have created an object of it. So the ppn is the object, and we have given the eta, we have given the random state, we have fitted the model with ppn.fit xtrain and ytrain. and we have used simple sklearn prediction, and we have got that accuracy of 88.8%. So this is basically how we can train a perceptron to use its you know activation functions, and it's working to predict. Basically, perceptron works well with it's supervised learning, so it works well with the data set that we have. So more the data set, the better it's able to train the weights. And yeah, so for this is basically perceptrons are used for basically classifications. So uh, yeah, so thank you for watching, and I hope I have explained it and you have understood it. So yeah, so I'll be done with this, and thank you for watching. uh, See you soon. Bye bye.